Hello and welcome to Castlevania Let's Talk. You've got myself, Apps, and Pacman himself, Tom Adcock. Tom, how you
Hi,
doing?
mate. Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Good, good.
So when people hear Castlevania Let's Talk, they might think, oh, maybe they've gone back to play Symphony of the Night or something. But what we're actually talking about is the Netflix anime. Would you call it anime? I guess it is. It's animated and it's done produced in Japan, so you could class it as anime. But it's actually a television series, 4 episodes based on the video game Castlevania. As I said, it's exclusive to Netflix at the moment, and I think they are obviously helping with the publishing and financing that and whatnot. But this, when I say those words, Castlevania TV series, it sounds like a disaster waiting to happen, doesn't it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Because we've not been treated to much good for TV and film based on game properties. I can't even think of anything remotely decent. Maybe you'll look at Resident Evil and say, well, that was successful but not very good. I guess the question is, are the tides turning with this Castlevania little mini series that Netflix have put out?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. It's pretty great.
Yeah.
It's quite short. It's only 4 episodes at the moment, and they're about 20 minutes each.
Yeah.
And I mean, across those 4 at the moment, it's a lot of like build up, character introduction, character development. I guess not a great deal happens story wise, but you kind of get introduced to all the main players.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, from what I've seen so far, I'm really keen to see more. I hope they do a bigger run next time. I don't know if they will, but you'd expect more than 4 episodes a season.
Yeah, no, I've heard that they're going to do a second series, and it's going to be longer, so they'll have a little bit more room to stretch their legs, I guess, on that front. Because you're right. I mean, without obviously completely spoiling what happens and goes on, it's a lot of setup in this one. You kind of, like you said, you get introduced to the characters, and it's setting up the kind of Dracula as the main antagonist, and Trevor, was it Belmont, isn't it? Sort of
That's it, yeah.
As the main protagonist. So, were you a fan of the original kind of games or the games that have come out since then? Because this is, it's height of popularity is that time when you were, in love with gaming.
Yeah, no, but the answer is no.
Obviously.
Well, yeah, but I've dipped in and out, haven't I? Sort of let it down a little bit. No, I kind of missed Castlevania as a kid. Recently, when I was away, I played Castlevania 4, the one that was on Super Nintendo.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. I loved it. But yeah, at the time, I didn't play any of the NES or Super Nintendo. I missed like you said, Symphony of the Night. The people were saying that's one of the best games of all time. Wow. Missed that. So no, I mean, going into this, I didn't know, have much to go on except for that Castlevania 4, which, it's not really story driven. I heard that this one's based on number 3, which I imagine's even less story. I know there are multiple characters in that, so maybe there is a bit more to it story wise. But yeah, I thought it was good. I love the way, without spoiling anything, the first maybe episode and a half, I mean, Dracula was probably the best character, as in I actually was rooting for him a lot. He was great.
Yeah.
And there's, they've really set it up well that he's not just like a one-dimensional classic bad guy. There's reasons for what he's doing and whatnot, and Belmont's not exactly squeaky clean. It's quite adult as well, isn't it? Swearing and blood and
the gore on it was something that I was like, whoa. I mean, I don't mind a bit of gore, but I was surprised at just how far they were willing to kind of push that envelope on it. And some of the killing and some of the things that happen, I was like, good Christ. No wonder it's animated, because you wouldn't, I don't know if you'd be able to even do that in live action. It cost a fortune and wouldn't look very nice. But as I say, it's an animated series, so do you think that was the right way to go down that route rather than going for a live action take?
Yeah, 100%. That would have been appalling. I mean, it would have cost a fortune as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have.
And then who are you competing with? Like Game of Thrones? I don't know. It's got that supernatural element, but story driven. It's probably not going to find an audience being based on a video game. No, I think it's great. I just hope it does well. I have no idea if a lot of people have seen it. Everyone I've put onto it has come back liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of anime, if any. I can't think of anything I've seen. Maybe a couple of movies. But so I'm not really the go-to on this, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think that's a good thing to point out, though, is that you haven't got to be an anime fan. It works as a standalone TV series, obviously, because it is, you know, quite adult in the way it kind of presents things. I don't think you've necessarily got to be into anime to enjoy it at all. And I would argue, even if you didn't know much about the game, like both of us, admittedly, we don't know much about the game. We know they exist. We know that some of the entries are legendary, you know, in the history of gaming. But in terms of lore and plot, we really had no idea. And I think that kind of speaks volumes that you can jump into this, even if you're not the biggest Castlevania fan or have just missed it if it's passed you by. It seems like the reception it's got has been quite positive as well. If you're going to look at a website like, I don't know, Rotten Tomatoes, I know that's it's scored very highly on that. And according to, I mean, this is by no means set in stone, but Wikipedia, it is the first video game adaptation in the site's history to receive a fresh rating. So that tells
there you go.
Yeah, it tells you all you need to know really about how much better this has been compared to some of the other video game tripe that we've been served up over the years. So yeah, I mean, if you've got Netflix, which most people have, just it's 2 hours of your life you'll lose, and you can cut it up into 20 minutes chunks. So watch one a week if you need to, but I'll be surprised if you don't watch the first one and then don't immediately want to watch the second, then third, then fourth, and bang it out in one day. I'm looking forward to next season. I hope they kind of commit to it and actually do as they've said, and you know, do a slightly longer season of it. Looking at how this has been reasonably successful, especially for us two and other people that we've recommended it to, and how much they've liked it, and the critics. Are there any other games that you would like to see in this format? Do you think this format could be the future of, you know, taking a video game property and moulding it into a TV or a short film, perhaps, or feature film animated?
That's a good question. I mean, I'd love to see Netflix get their hands on like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
There's been some okay like out of Japan. Again, I don't know if they'd be animes or if they were CGI-ish, but they were
CGI,
reasonable.
Weren't they? Yeah.
But I think that's a good property. I mean, there's so many, isn't there? Metroid could be a really nice one.
Yeah.
We're going old school again. How about you?
Oh, I'd love to see Metal Gear Solid.
Of course, yeah.
I think that would lend itself beautifully to this type of adaptation. Konami property as well, as is Castlevania. So perhaps, you know, they've had their little palms greased for this one. They might think, oh, you know what? Maybe we can do a good job for Metal Gear Solid. But I'm liking what I see here, and I think I'd like to see more. I don't necessarily subscribe to that it's got to be live action, because you know, video games in their own right aren't, you know, they're not photorealistic by any stretch of the imagination. So why not use a little bit of creative license and go for animated? It worked really well here, and it could work in other properties, that's for sure. We've kind of gushed about it quite a lot. Is there anything you wasn't overly satisfied with, or had any sort of, you know, something a little bit critical for Castlevania, or pretty much that it was quite harmless in the fact that it didn't take up much of your time and it was good enough?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it ticks all the boxes for me. I love horror. It's like dark and moody and adult. I wasn't expecting any of that. I guess the only criticism would be could have done with a couple of more episodes. It was literally too short. Like it was just getting to the point where the story was ready to go.
It's a prologue, isn't it, almost?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 2 hour prologue. Exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why they've only done the 4, because it was a bit of a risk. They thought, how is this going to turn out? How's it going to be received? But looking forward to seeing this come up for the second run, and definitely will be watching it when it does arrive. So I think it's safe to say that Castlevania, the Netflix animated series, gets a thumbs up from Mr. Adcock and I. So if you've got access to Netflix, just, you know, give it a go. 20 minutes for one episode. You'll soon know whether it's your bag or not. And I'm positive that most of you out there will enjoy it for what it is, and I'd be pleased to have spent the time watching it. But nothing more for us to say here, though, Tom. Apart from, thanks for your time, and ta-da.
See ya.